I don't know exactly how well my voice is going to come through in this video, but I wanted to make a video explaining my viewpoint on a rather interesting topic. So, somebody commented on a video I put onto YouTube saying something along the lines of, would Jesus wear the outfit? Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because there's a few different factors you have to consider when trying to ask and answer that question. Let me go ahead and look at the actual comments. It's not how you feel, it's asking yourself, would Jesus wear this outfit? Jesus would not dress like Captain Jack Sparrow, a pirate, all capitals. So if you're feeling yourself getting comfortable with something Jesus wouldn't wear, you better think again, my friend. Well, let's look at this from a attemptedly logical standpoint. What did Jesus wear? He wore a robe, probably tunic, a coat. The Bible specifically says that. And most likely he had a girdle. Possibly some sort of headgear of some type or another. So, why did he wear that? Simple. That's what people, men specifically, back in his day, wore every day. That was the customs of the time period that he lived in. Okay, so now let's break that down a little bit. In other words, Jesus wore the morally appropriate attire for his time period. Okay, let's take that concept and move forward in time by a lot to the Victorian era. I think it's the Victorian era. I would have to double check that. And once I've managed to check it, I will put the correct time period on the screen here. So, during the time period that the Pirates of the Caribbean movies are set in, people wore, men specifically, wore knee-length breeches, knee-length socks. Usually, they wore knee-length boots. Otherwise, they wore kind of like modern-day dress shoes with buckles on them. They wore loose, what I would call fluffy sleeved shirts. And typically, they would wear some sort of hat and a vest. That's what the attire for a quote-unquote land worker was. What did people wear out on sea? Which is what Jack Sparrow was. People on sea would wear usually close-fitting clothing because they didn't want it to get tangled up on any of the ropes they were working with. Typically speaking, they would wear the same basic clothing as a land worker. Knee-length breeches. They would wear tall, knee-length boots. The common concept of pirate boot was very applicable because they wanted to be able to fold the boot sheaths up to give themselves more wading room to walk around in water. They would usually wear the same kind of shirts as everyone else, except for sometimes they would just take the shirts off so they didn't have to be restricting. And sailors in particular frequently didn't cut their hair because they were so busy doing other stuff they didn't have time to worry about it. The more the sailor was working, the less likely they were to pay attention to their hair. So long hair was very common. Now, I'm not going to say it was moral, but it was common. So, going off of that idea, would Jesus have dressed like Jack Sparrow? The wig, possibly not. And I take off my wig if someone starts reading the Bible or when the preaching actually starts. I take off the wig. Just like I don't listen to someone reading the Bible wearing a pirate hat or a sheriff's woody hat. But walking around in the church building, I wear the wig, I wear my hat. I don't view there as being any point not to. Then, you also have to consider the fact the individual that pointed out that he's a pirate apparently doesn't actually know very much about the movies, because Jack Sparrow was dubbed a pirate by the government because he wanted to do the moral thing and not sell people as slaves. He decided to set the slaves free, and therefore the government deemed him to be a pirate and branded him. So, for people who know why he was named a pirate, me being one of them, I, and a lot of people who are like me, don't think he's a pirate. We think he's a hero. So, trying to use the word pirate as this home run or checkmate statement doesn't work on people like me. I don't really care if people call him a pirate because I don't believe he is a pirate. I believe he's a completely misunderstood sailor. And in some cases, I believe that the government during his time period actually was more wrong than he was. So, yeah, that's another problem. So, in short, do I believe that my Jack Sparrow outfit is something that Jesus would frown upon? Let's say it that way. Because clearly we already determined that it doesn't matter if he would wear it or not. Would he frown upon it? I don't believe so. As long as I'm obeying the cultural rules, which happen to be that you take off your hat when the preaching starts. You take off your hat when the Bible's being read. Like, I never wear my hat into the auditorium. Out in the hallway, yes, but never into the auditorium. Trying to carry around my wig is a little bit too complicated for that, but same idea. So, do I think that the concept doesn't hold up? Would Jesus frown upon it? No.